Let's jump to this story from the Post-Millennial. House Speaker bans men from women's bathrooms on Capitol Hill. This is a weird story that the Speaker of the House had to say men can't go in the women's room. I don't understand why this... was this not already
Speaking of an immoral world?
Well, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene to thank for this.
So, let me give real quick context.
For sure.
There's a new member of Congress coming in named Sarah McBride, a Democrat.
No. That's not the name of that person.
Well, you can change your name. And legally, on paperwork, this person is identifying as Sarah McBride. I'm just trying to give the context.
Well, can we? Okay.
I'll have you. So let me say this, and then you can follow up and explain what's wrong about it and all that stuff. In the media, they have reported an individual who is going by the name Sarah McBride, who is biologically male.
I ain't seen a name change document. Have you?
Okay.
I'm Sarah.
Nancy Mace says, we will not have men in the women's bathrooms in Congress. Proposed a bill. Doubled down and said, we will now propose this in all federal buildings in this country. Mike Johnson comes out and says, you know what? Men cannot use women's cannot use men. Thank you and have a nice day. This is where we currently are. Milo, explain what's going on.
So you have Marjorie Taylor Greene to thank for this. The bill that Nancy Mace is putting forward, which would apply to all federal buildings everywhere, for instance, would apply to your local DMV. This is a very good thing, and we hope that it passes and we hope that it happens. Mike, as the Speaker of the House, can say what happens in the Capitol complex. Right. So in the Capitol complex, so long as the Speaker of the House determines what happens everywhere. So without a bill being passed, without a law being passed, he's able to institute new rules for how those buildings are used. OK, so Mike Johnson, as Speaker of the House, has said no biological males in the female bathrooms in the Capitol complex. And that means the offices, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene to thank for this, because Mike Johnson, that wasn't a given that happened. But Marjorie announced a day before this ruling came down from Mike Johnson that Mike Johnson was going to do this. And I don't know to the extent to which that was definitely the case or not the case, but she sure maneuvered him into saying it. So Marjorie kind of left him with no option but to do this, which was a great public service and a great thing. And it's right and it's proper that should have happened. Nancy Mace has been great. She's like a mob wife, isn't she? She's sort of like a sexy mob wife.
Was she wearing like a mink yesterday?
No, she came out in this white fur, and I was and you know my old gay Milo came out. I have to tell you, she came out in this fur, and I was like, yes, quit. Stop.
50 lashes.
No, exactly. There's a hot oil on the thigh. Yeah, that's my preferred punishment. No idea. That's how I stopped having sex with men.
Really?
Yeah. You just fry up some oil, and just a little drop on the thigh, and it stings for days. And you're just like, I really am not interested in anything else. It really hurts. So no, it worked for me. This is a wonderful thing, and you have Marjorie Taylor Greene to thank for it.
Can I ask? Okay, so thinking of this story and what you were saying earlier about a schizophrenic country, do you think the schizophrenia widens now in America, or after the election, or does it get better?
I don't believe that the two fact universes are reconcilable.
Yeah,
so I think that one of two things has to happen.
I agree.
Either the country splits in some sort of orderly breakup, or one of those sides has to die. And we are now at a point at which it's a realistic prospect that one of those sides might be on the ropes.
You think they're just going to phase themselves out?
Well, so let me.
It's that you were talking earlier about Micah and Charlemagne the God, that fruity guy, and then and all these other people who are sort of and the oleaginous, odious slug. What's his name on
Ryan Stelter.
No,
not Stelter.
He sounds like a slug.
No. You can sort of see him ripple as he talks on the Young Turks. What's his name?
Cenk?
Yes, Cenk. Oh god,
ripple.
But even you can tell. Can't you? People say.
Oh, he left the left yesterday.
People say you can't judge a book by its cover. Give me a break.
He's working with Doge now. He's working with Elon.
Well, he wants to. But these people sucking up. But there's a very real prospect. And by the way, I did watch her show yesterday, and I can't share your praise for Anna Kasparian, because she had plenty of opportunities to realize what was right. and she only really changed her mind when it affected her personally.
Agreed.
And I don't think you get plaudits for that. I'm sorry. I don't think you get a round of applause just because you got assaulted and then your friends weren't nice to you about it, and now you realize that maybe your friends are dicks.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Milo,
I'm sorry.
hold on.
I don't think you get an applause for that.
Hold on. You're totally right about the assault.
Everything.
Let me finish here. You're totally right about the assault. You're right about the opinions when it comes to what was the other topic that she had? The birthing person thing. But she did looked into the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff on her own, and she came to a different conclusion after she looked into it.
Yeah, how recently? She's been at this for decades.
I understand,
and she's had
but
every opportunity.
the point that I'm making, Milo, is that
she knew. She went on air and she said lies, and she knew she was wrong, and she did it anyway. And when did she finally break? When it affected her personally?
That she
that
knew.
Is no cause for there's no cause for applause. No cause for applause.
You're-
And just because she saw the way that the wind was blowing, and just because she knew who was going to win the election, because she's not completely insane.
I think you're
suddenly she has some Damascene experience.
I
and
think
road to
that
Damascus,
you're
a
doing-
sword over-
you're assuming too much.
I just realized the left's wrong
You're
about
making
everything
too
because
many
Trump's going to
assumptions
win.
about what she did or
Give
did
me
not
a
know,
break.
Milo.
I'm sorry. You cannot.
Now, wait. Give me.
Like I
cannot
said,
applaud
you're
everyone
making
on the
too
left.
many assumptions
Okay,
Nice about
all right.
Trump
Okay,
just
we
because
get it,
they're
we
a
get it.
size 2.
Now, do Micah and Joe Scarborough.
Oh gosh. Listen.
They're much more atrocious
There's
than Anakin.
So Micah's like, if you took like sort of 3,000 or 4,000, you can work out by body weight like how much Adderall will kill you. If you took sort of like 20 milligrams less than that, and then you'd be Micah, and then you'd be Micah, and you just and then there's this sort of podgy, ghastly sort of soft
Matthew Perry's corpse.
soft-featured, sort of oh god. Listen, these are weak people who are
Moral cowards.
moral cowards, but also the worst thing you can be in life is for sale. And there are people who will say just about anything in order to stay on the right line of the censors, or in order to keep their, their whatever. And we all know this, being in the right wing, because we know Prager, and we know Turning Point, and we know, all your friends. I'm just kidding. Or the Daily Wire. We know. Because we know these people privately, and we know how much better they are privately off air. We know that the things that they will not say on air, and the things that will not, and that to me personally is the greatest sin you can commit, really, because that for me is that it's tickling up to bearing false witness, because lying in formal context is like kind of lying in a broadcast, about what you really believe for a monetary gain. Please, And there's a distinction, I think, between, for instance, this show and people like that, because, like Tim, I would describe, if someone asked me, as kind of center right, and plays between he plays between the lines in order to maintain a successful and a significant and a big presence, which is something that I wouldn't be able to do if
That is incorrect.
Well, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm trying to compliment you.
But let me counter just.
Okay,
on
then
that
let's
point.
talk about vaccines.
Let's counter on this point.
I'm
Absolutely.
teasing you.
We can talk about vaccines.
I'm teasing you.
Because Destiny was lying about me, claiming I pushed vaccine conspiracies.
I know that.
But
I
look,
know that. I'm not.
my point is not to
get to the end. You're going to get a compliment.
It's fine. My point is not to say you're wrong. My point is to say if we went hard line in one direction, our viewership would be larger.
Maybe, but
It's clear when you look at all of the biggest
maybe, but it
shows.
wouldn't be monetized, and that's my point. So the point is this: I respect what you do, and I have always been grateful to you, for instance, for having me on when it wasn't always easy, for having me on and you've done that with other guests too. And I think the way in which you demonstrate courage is having people on that earlier than others do, and you've done it with me, and I've always been grateful for it. Okay, I think that so there was your compliment. You could have just waited for it. But what other people do, which I find intolerable, is they present themselves as the bleeding edge of commentary, or as the warriors on the front lines of whatever. And in fact, they are censoring 90% of what they say, versus what happens here, which is like, all you have to do is kind of be a grown up. On this show, like the worst that happens is you sort of have to be talk like you would if there was a child in the room.
Well, you gave
which is no great sacrifice, right?
Well, you gave us
There's a big difference, you know.
You gave us one of the best insults of all time. In fact, when before the show, it was like it wasn't the last time you were on. Before that, I said, Milo, just keep it academic. Academic insults are funnier and they're acceptable. And so you wrote down no personal invective with a sad face. But then you described Ron DeSantis as something off-putting, like when you reach for something but accidentally touch something moist, like a wet sponge.
Yes.
And it was very good.
Somebody asked me the other day about Ted Cruz. And I remarked something similar, which is that there's something amphibian about him, as though he sleeps underwater and lays eggs in the reeds.
He's soggy.
You know, as though he lays eggs in the reeds. I think if Ted Cruz were to reproduce, it would be in the form of tadpoles.
So you want him to play?
You know, like that's the kind of thing you want, isn't it? So anyway,
They're funnier.
Well, some people say. Some people like the C word. You know, there are other shows for that. No, but I was trying to.
There's the members only show.
We'll get there. I was trying to compliment you by saying, you know, that I think that you have a family-friendly, mainstream appeal show that can actually make you a living, unlike the majority of most of us. And you show your courage through the people you bring on, right?
Well,
which I think is great. What I can't stand is people who present themselves as these sort of brave warriors throwing themselves under the bus. I think the bravest thing you can do is to say something awful that shocks people, that blows open the fire doors, that opens the space up for others to follow, because you create through that, the blood you spill becomes a kind of baptismal nectar that christens a generation of warriors behind you.
That's why Kanye's so great.
And that's why I loved working for him so much, because that's exactly what Ye does, exactly what Kanye West does. And we had, I think we had something of a meeting of the minds in that regard. And people respect that and they really appreciate that. And some of your viewers may have noticed a piece in the a Hollywood Reporter. I'm profiled in sort of print edition of the Hollywood Reporter, which is very nice. By the way, I have my Blaze band lifted as well. I must be really screwing up, because I think I'm becoming socially acceptable again.
Mainstream.
No. I mean, 5 Blaze shows in a row. I'm like, what did I do? I'm sorry.
Fox News next.
No, never. I mean, when they call. No.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.